what exactly is going on in Yemen?
The Arab nation's been ravaged by a civil war since 2014.
What's being called the worst humanitarian crisis in the world.
This month marks 8 years of conflict.
To begin, let's look at the facts. Since 2014, a civil war has raged within the borders of Yemen. According to a UN report, the ongoing conflict has killed hundreds of thousands, mostly children, with one child dying roughly every 9 minutes. Right now, both the Iran-backed Houthis and the Saudi-backed Houthi side claim to be Yemen's official government. And although militant groups such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda dominate contested regions of Yemen, the Southern Transitional Council, backed by the UAE, also holds significant influence. While the parties blame each other, the Iran, Saudi, and UAE-backed sides have all been accused of war crimes, including the use of child soldiers. There are 3 main narratives that define the Yemen war: the pro-establishment narrative, the establishment-critical narrative, and the cynical narrative. The pro-establishment narrative says the Houthis are an Iran-backed terrorist group that violently overthrew Yemen's internationally recognized government in 2014 and now perpetrates terrorist attacks on Saudi Arabia and the UAE. The Houthis don't represent Yemen's legitimate government and must be defeated. Saudi Arabia and its allies have tried to negotiate peace in good faith, but all efforts have been rejected. The establishment-critical narrative says there cannot be peace in Yemen until the Saudis' and Emiratis' brutal war and blockade is ended. The 2 nations are conducting war crimes in Yemen, and the Houthis' resistance is just as legitimate as the resistance in Ukraine. The US and Western allies provide the weapons for these war crimes and could quickly stop this war if they cared more about Yemeni civilians than about money, oil, and power. The cynical narrative says the war in Yemen, now in its 8th year, is every bit as brutal as what's taking place in Ukraine. The West's failure to address this humanitarian disaster or cover it in the media with any sense of urgency says a lot about its inherent bias and who it considers worthy and unworthy victims.